No, we haven't had the first interview yet. We haven't discussed my situation yet.
Can you talk more openly now? Do you feel like you deserve the job? Do you think you did enough to warrant that?
I still think that's something that should be discussed between Larry and myself, not through the media right now. You know, we'll sit down with Larry and see what the best direction of the Pacers is.
Either way, looking back at this process, how can you summarize it? How do you feel about just the whole process?
An amazing opportunity, something I've thoroughly enjoyed, not just from my own experience, you know, getting the opportunity to sit in that seat as the head coach, but just watching these guys come together, you know, young players developing the confidence to succeed in the NBA, and more importantly, just 15 guys coming together as a team was a very, very rewarding experience for me.
Can you give us your best pitch for staying?
I'm sorry?
Can you give us your best pitch for staying?
For staying? You know, I got a great deal of confidence in my ability to coach. It's one thing I've learned, you know, over the last 3 months is that I can do this, confident in my leadership abilities, my management abilities, my coaching abilities, and you know, I'd be honored for, you know, it's been an honor to have an opportunity the last 3 months. It would be an honor to coach the team in the future.
Obviously, there's probably no timetable on meeting with Larry, but would you like to get it done sooner than later, considering there's seems to be jobs opening up left and right around the league?
It's really up to Larry and our front office. You know, whatever they decide. I mean, you don't want to, anytime you're making a decision as important as this, you never want to rush into it. So whatever timetable they decide is fine with me.
Coach, obviously things are a little up in the air with your position, but as for the Pacers, when it comes to the salary cap, this was sort of the summer that was circled. What, in your opinion, are the big Pacer needs with all of this movement and the salary cap availability now? Well,
that's something that we're going to be, you know, if I'm able to stay, is something that I know will be very creative in examining all possibilities. I don't think there's one position where we say, well, we really need this position. You know, I think we've got great options at all 5 positions, and we've got depth at all 5 positions. So, you know, to have the flexibility that we have with our salary cap is just something that we've got a lot of great options, and we'll explore them all.
Coach, did you have a chance to address the team as a whole after Game 5, maybe after some of the emotion died down, and what was your message to the guys?
I didn't address them as a team. I met with them all individually yesterday, and my message to all of them was that very rarely do you stay in the same spot in this league. You either get better or you get worse, and if you think there's not someone else at your position or another team that's not working harder than we are, then you're wrong. Then you're wrong. And if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So to go into this summer understanding that, you know, we're all so young, you know, but there's no guarantees for improvement. Just because we took this step doesn't mean, you know, we're going to take the next step or even that we're going to stay where we're at. You know, we've got to be hungrier this summer than we've ever been.
Coach, team obviously got off to a really good start under you, then went through a little bit of a lull. You know, everybody's excited about what happened in the playoffs, but you had to go through some things to get to the playoffs. You had to bounce back from that lull in the middle of the season. Can you talk about that and what happened with the team to bounce back?
You know, I think when you have a young team that hasn't quite gotten over the hump yet, you know, you deal with adversity, and, you know, in this case, the adversity came in the form of a brutal Texas trip, you know, to Oklahoma City, a couple back-to-backs. You know, we had a very tough stretch in the schedule, and that, you know, we wanted to do better in that stretch. I think we lost 6 in a row or 8 out of 9 or something like that. It's just a matter of believing in yourself and understanding that, you know, there's going to be bumps in the road, that every team goes through them. And we had talked about the Miami Heat were going through a similar stretch at the same time. The Lakers went through it earlier in the year. Everybody goes, every team in the NBA throughout the course of an 82-game season goes through those stretches, and that we're good enough to get through it, you know, and that we will get through it. And we were, I think at the time we were, you know, we had lost a couple to some sub-500 teams, And then we were approaching a stretch where we were playing, I think, 5 straight against teams with winning records. And, you know, my message at that point was competition has a way of raising the level of your play. And it worked out that way.
Frank, how much do you feel your future may be tied up in Larry Bird's future? And that won't be decided until we know if Larry's staying.
Well, yeah, obviously if he's not the decision maker, then things could change. I mean, for better or worse, who knows? I mean, it depends who would come in. But, you know, I think this organization needs Larry Bird more than it needs anyone. And I'm hopeful that he stays on.
Never mind, you just answer my next one.
Coming into this season, Danny Granger talked about wanting to become an elite defender. He had experience with USA basketball, said that he had learned some things, was going to take those steps. Did you feel like he took any steps forward in that way this season?
Absolutely. I think he took a lot of steps in terms of owning, you know, his individual defense, his team defense. Obviously was not always perfect, no one's is, but he definitely had more of a focus this year and definitely improved.
Coach, when do you anticipate discussing your future and Mr. Bird's future? When will that come? Will that be next week, next month?
Yeah, I really don't know. It's completely up to them, and whatever timetable they decide, I'm completely comfortable with. You know, like I said, you don't want to rush into anything. You got to let the dust settle. You got to take a step back and evaluate everything with a clear mind.
Is it hard being patient, though? I mean, you had a winning record as a coach. You had a competitive series against Chicago. I mean, is it hard having to sit and essentially be on Larry's timetable on when he wants to talk?
One of my personal best attributes that I've been blessed with is patience. I'm a patient guy.
Killing me today.
You know, I guess everybody goes into a new job or a new situation with a set of expectations. How was this, I guess, 43 games for you? How was this different than maybe what you went into it expecting?
How was it different than what I expected? I don't know. I expected to succeed. I expected that you know, the changes that I was going to implement would work. I feel like they did. I thought it fell in line with what my expectations were when I took over. That you know, I believed in, you know, the young guys that we have on the team, and that if we went with them, the way we utilized them and the way we changed our style of play, I believed it would work, and I think it did work. I was hopeful it would have worked better, to be honest with you. You know, I think we could have made a serious run this year, and I think, you know, that this group has a high ceiling for what they can achieve in the future.
Would you like to stay?
I would love to stay. Not only would I love to be a head coach again, but this organization in particular, I've fallen in love with even before I became a head coach. I love the community that I live in Carmel, the village of West Clay, our neighborhood. We've really been embraced here, and this is where I want to raise my family. I would love the opportunity to stay here.
If you walked away from this tomorrow, what stamp would you believe you left?
What stamp do I think that I left? Just you know, getting some of the young guys to believe in themselves and understand that they can do it at this level, and you know, the fact that we came together as a team, and that doesn't always happen in the NBA or in college or whatever basketball you're talking about. It doesn't always happen where guys really pull for each other, genuinely care for each other, fight for each other, work for each other, and really just come together as a team in the true sense of the word. And that's probably what I'm most proud of with this group.
On the other side of that, hindsight's 2020. When you look back at the short time you had to turn things around with this team, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, I thought it was just perfect. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that I would do differently. I mean, every time you lose a game, you feel like you should do something differently. You know, if we don't score down the stretch, I feel like I should have called a different play. If we do get scored on, I feel like I should have guarded it a different way. You know, I look at myself more than any of our players, more than any of our front office, more than anything. I'm probably my hardest critic.
It seems like one of the players who benefited most when you stepped in was Roy Hibbert. What do you see him needing to do to take that next step to be consistently, you know, a top-level type guy?
He just has to stay hungry. He and I talked about, you know, with all of our players, we talked about specific things that they need to work on. But I'm not going to get into the specific things. He just needs to stay hungry and get hungrier. You know, he had a great offseason last year, and it led to some improvement. But every player in the league is going to get better or going to get worse. And if he goes in and doesn't have the same mindset that he's got to be every bit as hungry, then he can take a step back. And you know, I have confidence that he'll remain as hungry as he is. He's a very driven kid, and he wants to be great. And you know, he's going to be an all-star someday.
Coach, the fans got on board with this, a lot of them late in the season when you guys made your run here. You've got to wait to see what happens, but they've got to wait as well to see where this is going. What do you tell them looking ahead?
First, I tell them thank you, because I hear the support, and I'm so grateful that they've gotten behind this team the way they have, and the way they've supported me personally. Grateful for them. It's the right thing to do. Just my message to the fans would be, this is the right thing to do, to take a step back, evaluate with a clear mind, and trust in Larry Bird. He's not Larry Legend because of his physical abilities to play basketball. He's got a great basketball mind, and he's the one that should be making the decisions, and whatever he decides is going to be what's best for the Indiana Pacers. Not cooperating today?
You got your kids hanging at your house now. You said you live on Carmel, Westlake Terrace. They're going to be hanging in your house now.
Not if we continue to win.